among all of you, and I understand 20% of you are coming back as well. If that's one of you, can you raise your hand? You guys have been in the program multiple times. I know you're out there, so raise your hand if you have. That's really incredible, the commitment that you're making to your own investment into your own future. And thank you to all the sponsors, those that are putting this on, being in the industry and trying to hire and find people. This is an incredible thing to see that these are the future for us that are trying to find technologists out there. And I was asked to speak about my own career. And so for some of you, some of it might sound familiar. But often I'm asked, what made a difference for me in my youth that led to a successful career in technology? And I really spent some time thinking about this and deliberating, what was it? What was so different in my youth that led to this great career I've had in technology? And I really spent some time and I realized it all came down to goats. Not greatest of all time, which I like to think of myself sometimes, but real farm animals, furry, ornery goats. So, let me give you the context. I grew up here in Utah, always lived in Utah, and I grew up in a family with 9 brothers and sisters. And we lived in a lot of different towns. We moved quite a bit, but always in Utah Valley and Cache Valley. And so we moved around a lot, and my dad owned a small welding shop, and he also loved to have little small farm animals. And so we had goats and chickens and cows and turkeys and sometimes rabbits, but we always had these animals. And so my brothers and sisters and we didn't have a lot of money, so we'd get really creative in how we play. And I was thinking about this, and I realized there was 3 things in my youth that really led to probably some success future in my career. One was creativity in how we would play. I also had a very analytical mind, and then I loved engineering and I loved solving problems. So how this kind of played out was, take for instance play and getting creative and being innovative. So we didn't have water guns, so what would we do? We'd pick up a goat and we'd have milk goat wars. Now imagine me, if you will, picking up a goat, and what this would entail is you'd hold the goat and then you'd squirt your brother and sister, and whoever soaked the other one the most, that's how you win. My mother wasn't too happy about the milk goat wars, but we had a lot of fun and we'd be very creative and find all these new ways to play. So to me, this led to some success, I think, in my future and future creative designs and innovation. The second thing that I look back was I loved to count. I loved to measure things. I was very analytical. And one of the things I loved to count also involved a goat named Casper the Unfriendly Goat. And this was a white goat, and it was a big goat, and here's how I would measure. Is I would take the goat, and then I'd stick my little brother Mike in a wagon behind the goat, and then I'd slap the goat, and then I'd measure how long would it take for my little brother to fall out of the wagon. And I'd do this over and over and over again because I wanted to see what was the variance between the shortest time and the longest time, and then I'd measure it. And my brother now is the IT director at Unique, and I think that he can owe me his career in IT because he was part of my games with this goat. So the third thing, didn't involve a goat, but it did involve my Barbies. So I love Barbie dolls. And my Barbies had a problem. They got really bored sitting around in the Barbie house. And I loved engineering, and I loved building things, and I loved erector sets. And my parents did a really, really great thing, which was they bought me an erector set. And it was this really cool erector set. It was one, I don't know if you guys have seen them, I haven't been able to find them. If you find them, please somebody show me where to buy these at now. But it was a erector set where it had these bubbles, and there's little motors inside them, and you could connect them, and you could build boats, and you could build cars. and all these amazing things, and my Barbies had a blast. They got out of that Barbie house, they were away, they had this amazing life. It was incredible, but it was taking that love of engineering and building things, because otherwise they've been really bored sitting in their pink Barbie Corvette that really couldn't go anywhere. So that was the third thing. But the real catalyst that got me into technology happened when I was 18. And I think for those that were here last year probably heard this story, which was when I turned 18, I wrecked my light blue Chevy Malibu Classic into a parked car. And due to this, and a few other violations, and we don't need to get into what all of those were, but I had some infractions and I lost my driver's license, and I'm 18 years old. And I found myself riding my little brother's bike to a fast food restaurant called Vittles. I think everybody knows of it as Arctic Circle now. And I'm working at Vittles, and I'm sliding around on these greasy floors, and I'm arguing with my fellow employees on whose burger orders whose, and I am thinking, I cannot live this life. There is no way I am doing this. And I knew the only way I was going to get out was to get an education. But I had a problem. My family struggled financially. There wasn't funds for me to get into college. And so I had to figure out how to get myself into school. So it took a little while, but I saved my Vittles dollars, and I added them up, and I enrolled at Utah Valley University in their architectural engineering program. And this was where I was exposed to computer science, believe it or not. So one of the classes that we had to take was one for Pascal programming. Who has heard of Pascal? Yeah, I wasn't expecting that response. So I took this Pascal programming class to learn how to do materials estimations for building projects, and it was my first exposure to this world of computer science. And it was a whole new door opening for me. And I started looking at the years I would have to spend in an architectural program versus computer science, and there was this new and exciting thing, and this is 25 years ago, okay? It was a whole different version. It was computer science, not high tech. And I just had this knowledge that this is what I wanted to do. And I also realized I'll probably make a lot more money. That was a big driver for me. And I was right. So one of the best decisions I ever made was to switch my degree into computer science outside of marrying my wonderful husband, Andrew, that is here with me tonight. Thank you. And so I switched into computer science, and I enrolled at Weber State in their computer science program. And I worked graveyard shifts, so I worked full-time on mainframes. And if anybody has seen the movie Hidden Figures, and there's those really big machines, and they have the punch cards, the really old ones, you guys remember that from the movie? That's what I worked on. So I work graveyards on these big mainframes, and I go to school during the day and started understanding computer science and learning how to code, and I loved it. And there was one key thing that I learned in my programs there, and that was the importance of diverse thought. The importance of diversity is so critical in our system designs. We need everybody's mind, everybody's. And without it, you're in trouble. You're going to miss opportunities. Businesses will find that they're not as successful. In fact, they found they're 15% more profitable when they have diversity. So this has been a key theme, and where this occurred to me was we were doing a project as a team, and I was the only woman in my classes, and I was a little bit timid, and I started working on this project. And I started looking at how they were working and what they were planning, and it seemed really complex. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know why they're doing it that way. So I raised my hand and kind of said, hey guys, what if we were to do it this way? And they went, oh yeah, why don't we do it that way? That is way better. And I kind of went, oh yeah, I do have good ideas. And I do need to share them, and it reminded me that everybody's voice is so important. Because when you don't speak up like that, you're going to lose opportunities to maybe do it better or different or solve a problem that somebody hasn't thought of yet. And so as I moved into my career, this idea of problem solving became very real for me. So the idea about it's not just about the cool technology, which technology can be really cool and I love it, but it comes down to people and solving problems for people. So how this played out and how I became more aware of this was my first job out of getting my associates in computer science was a job as a network engineer. And basically what I would do is travel out to large corporations, so New York Times, Mars Candies, I was dedicated to them and I'd go out and solve their problems. I can't get one computer to talk to another computer, how come, what's happening, what's routing wrong, and I troubleshoot these issues, and I started learning that there's this whole other world of business that I've been so focused on the technology I've been kind of not thinking about. So I continued my education and enrolled to night school and got a bachelor's in business and information systems and started learning more about business and technology and how these support each other. And I then also continued and got enrolled into the University of Utah, go Utes, and completed their executive MBA. And what I was doing as I worked full-time, and I'm going to school full-time, and I'm going through this process, is that I continually saw this, it's about solving problems. It's about taking the things that people need and then finding the technology that meets those. So I saw this display as my career kind of played out. So my next job was to work with the Chief Marketing Officer at Novell. My role was as a business systems analyst. If anybody doesn't know what that is, it's basically somebody that understands the business and can become this translator into the technology team so they know what to build. So I found I had this ability to be a really good translator. And our problem we were solving for is, how do we get more customers? How do we use systems to be able to generate and build and create more customers and spend our time and money effectively in building customer pipelines and lead generation pipelines and being able to target people? And so I did this for a few years, and then I got a phone call, and a prior manager of mine was now at Oracle, and he was saying, hey, we have this other thing called a technical sales consultant, and we want you to come sell software. And I said, okay. So I did, and I shifted. And I moved to Oracle and sold software for 3 years. And what I learned there was the exact same thing, which was I can be a really good salesperson and sell technology, and all I have to do is go solve problems. The best salespeople have found if you focus on the people and the problem that they have, and you solve it and show them the technology and how it can solve the problem, you're going to sell a lot. And I did really well at it. And I was very successful because I had learned this trick of, what's your problem, how do we help you, and how do I then show you how to use technology to solve it. Then I got another call, this time from eBay. And eBay says, we have a problem. And I said, okay, what is it? Let's see what this is. And the problem that we were then working on is a very similar role, systems analyst, business systems analyst, but we need to create better customer experiences for our customers. So how do we do that? How do we leverage people, process, and systems to now solve our biggest issue of working with eBay's millions of buyers and sellers around the world and giving them an experience they love? And so I've been working at eBay for 9 years now and doing this repeated thing that's been a stream throughout my whole career of understanding the business, understanding the people, understanding the problems, and how do we leverage technology. And meanwhile, I can't even tell you how many technology platforms I've worked on over the years. It's just this continual learning and growth that if you have that open mindset and you're learning and growing, it's a world of opportunity. You can't even list the number of roles and jobs and ways it can be applied. They mentioned earlier, every job is a technical job now. In fact, I joke with my kids and tell them, You do what you love. You go become who you need to be, but get a minor in tech. So all of you are ahead of the curve. You're all investing in yourself. And I look back on my journey, and it's been 25 years since I started this. And it's amazing. I don't think anybody could have predicted what we see today. Like 25 years ago, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have digital cameras. And who would know we'd now be walking around with a phone as an appendage, an additional body appendage, right? That's where we've gotten to, and it's incredible to have been a part of all of this and see the innovation and change that's happened throughout the industry. And so if you pause for a second, and you think about where are we going to be in another 25 years? That's kind of fun to think about. So, we may not have keyboards. Does that mean we're going to communicate how? It might change. And I think about my grandkids. They may never drive a car. That's pretty incredible to think about. It's just, there's so many different ways that we're evolving in the pace of change. It's an incredible industry to be part of. There's so much opportunity out there for all of you. So what I would ask is for you just to remember the goats. Remember the Barbies, the fun. There are so many future problems to be solved, and we need everybody's mind. We need everybody contributing, everybody making a difference, because it's going to be through your creativity, through your shared mindset, and through your love of technology that change is going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trina. And if you leave with anything tonight, please, please, please remember the goats. That is the important thing. Again, thank you so much, Trina. We appreciate it. So we are coming to the conclusion. I know we're all maybe getting a little antsy, but again, I just want to say, and I know I've said this many times, but just